Hey, what is good on YouTube? Welcome back to Team Viewer Y. So we've had the new Poco F8 Pro for some time now, and I just want to share some of my thoughts on this new smartphone. This is of course Xiaomi's latest Poco series mid-range phone, and it does pack a number of pretty awesome features, but is it worth their cash? Well, let's take a look. Alright, so new with the Poco series this year is the integration of Bose sound into the new smartphones. So you can see this on the front of the box. You do get that Bose logo in front, and inside the box you do get the Poco F8 Pro itself, along with a case, a USB-A to USB-C cable for fast charging, some paperwork, and your SIM eject tool. Now going over the design, the phone certainly looks and feels premium. We do have it in this titanium silver color, which is really nice to look at in my opinion. And yeah, some people might look at this and immediately think of the iPhone 17 Pro, especially with the camera plateau in the back, but I do think that it looks a lot closer to the Poco F6 Pro, which actually came out a couple of years earlier. Now it does come with aluminum sides, and Xiaomi says that it's carved the rear of the phone from a single block of glass, and of course you do get the Bose branding on here. Unlike the Poco F8 Ultra, it does not come with the additional speaker setup on the back side of the device. Now you do get a dual speaker setup on this phone, and it gets pretty loud, so here's a sample for you guys. Alright, so going over on the front, we do have a 6.59-inch HyperRGB AMOLED screen, which uses an LTPS panel, and I do like the size. It's not too large like the 6.67-inch display on the Poco F7 Pro, and it does have a more comfortable in-hand feel to it. Now it is pretty sharp with a 2510 by 1156 pixel resolution, and it does come with your usual 120Hz refresh rate, and it does get bright with a maximum of 2000 nits and a peak brightness of up to 3500 nits. The bezels are reasonably small as well, so it does make for a more immersive viewing experience and does add to the overall premium feel. Now going over on the inside, we do get the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip from last year, which we already saw on the Poco F7 Ultra, and if we're going by synthetic benchmarks, then you're gonna get really impressive scores, especially when compared to devices with the older Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip. And yeah, performance overall is pretty terrific on this device. You also get 12GB of RAM and up to 512 gigs of internal storage. Sadly, there's no 1TB option, but again, this is of course a mid-range phone, so some corners had to be cut in that regard. Now it does have a liquid cool technology with what Xiaomi calls a 3D triple layer ice loop system, and during gaming it still manages to get warm a tiny bit, but on the other hand it's not really reach intensive heat levels when you're gaming, so make of that what you will. Now going over to the software, we do get HyperOS 3 on this device, and it is pretty fluid for the most part. I haven't really gotten any stutters when going through the UI and the different menus, although I would have to say that I'm not too keen on the island, which of course you can probably tell where Xiaomi got the idea from. Something more original would have been better in my opinion. And yeah, it's pretty useful for day-to-day stuff, but right now there's no toggle to turn it off like on some other devices like ones from OnePlus. So yeah, of course, being that it is HyperOS 3, you do get a ton of pre-installed apps. You can of course uninstall and disable some of the apps on this phone, and some you can only hide, so again, that's another factor to take into consideration with the Poco F8 Pro. One thing I do like about HyperOS though is that it comes with a ton of rich customization options, so Xiaomi does give you a fair amount of freedom in changing up the way your phone looks, especially when it comes to the UI. So that's one of the strong points of HyperOS 3 in my opinion. I did have some trouble though with some apps. For example, my Gmail app would not give me notifications. I'm not sure if it's a software bug, but eventually I did manage to get the Gmail notifications going on this phone. Now this entire setup is powered by a 6210 mAh battery with support for 100-watt charging, and at this point Xiaomi's fast charging capabilities are one of the best that you can get on the market. For example, I was able to charge from 30% to 100% in around 15 minutes, and this was using a 45-watt charger from Google. So if you're using a faster charger which can support Xiaomi's 100-watt charging system, then of course you'll have to wait less when your phone is replenishing its battery. Endurance is pretty good as well. I'm getting really good standby times on this phone. And yeah, while we don't get the 7000 mAh capacity on some of the other phones that we're seeing on the market these days, it's still nice to have a 6200 capacity cell inside this phone. Now as for its camera system, the Poco F8 Pro does come with a 50 megapixel main camera and a 50 megapixel telephoto lens, which is accompanied by an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera with a 20 megapixel selfie camera in front. Now most photos will look good, although telephoto images do come out with soft details. Colors are punchy and there's a decent amount of contrast. In darker situations, photos still manage to look good, but of course this will depend on what lighting is available. Unsurprisingly though, you do get softer details in low light shots, which is something to consider. Now the phone can max out at 4K resolution clips, and video again looks good with decent stabilization, and the color tone remains similar to what you get on still photos. But one caveat is that the front camera only shoots in 1080p resolution, so that's kind of a downer, especially considering the chipset that you're getting inside this phone. Now as for its pricing, the Poco F8 Pro comes in two different storage and pricing tiers. So you do get the 12GB RAM and 256GB storage version starting at around £549, while there's a 512GB version that goes for £600 here in the UK. Now considering that this is around and even lower than the same price as the iPhone 16e for example, you're getting a lot more phone for your money with the Poco F8 Pro. But overall though, I do like the phone's premium design, the display is impressive, and of course overall performance is excellent, at least in my experience using this phone. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Poco F8 Pro. Are you gonna get this phone or are you gonna get the Ultra? Sound off in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.